8% when you get it and convert. But transmission to production, we lost 6%.
The low time 9 p.m. onward and weekend, make it 1/3 of the peak, not half. Because that.
Right,
yeah, make it 1/3 because otherwise no incentive for people to use the low time.
And in Markham, great advice on how we can work together to make sure Ontario becomes a stronger, more prosperous and proud province. I want to see an Ontario that is the best place to start a small business, to raise a family, to get a good home. I had outstanding advice here today on how to do that and to help families who are currently struggling with increased costs make ends meet.
What's the prime concern of today's discussion?
There are two areas of prime concern. One was helping small businesses succeed. How we're going to hire more people so that more Canadians will have opportunities to good, well-paying jobs, particularly here in Markham and the GTA. The second area is how can we help families make ends meet. Families today's budgets are under attack. HST has hit them hard, increasing hydro rates. Auto insurance, you're paying more and getting less, and now we know we have the highest tuition of any province. For a middle-class family here in Markham, low-income families, they're right now treading water to make ends meet. They need a break.
And what's the strategy of the PC to press the Liberal government to do something?
We've set it as one of our priorities in the legislature to give families a break. And as far as we're concerned, all options are on the table. The HST, we'd like the government to lower the rate or provide exemptions, property tax or income tax breaks, anything will be a break for families. And if Dalton McGuinty doesn't do it, if I have the honor of serving as Premier of our province, we'll give families a break they deserve and need.
For HST and the referendum issues on your mind?
There was legislation under the previous PC government that would have mandated a referendum on the HST. The Taxpayer Protection Act basically said that if you increased taxes and you didn't campaign on it, that you would have to have a referendum. Unfortunately, Dalton McGuinty ripped up that legislation and ran through the HST plus the health tax on families. As Premier, I want to bring back opportunities for families to hold their government officials to account in between elections. So we're looking at ideas like referendums, recall, whatever the best practices are in other provinces and states, because we should have the right to hold our politicians accountable, not simply at elections, but in between elections as well.
So, but Dr. McGuinty says if BC gonna give up the HST, but Ontario will benefit from that. How do you think so? Because McGuinty is insisted that HST is business benefit from the HST, maybe not the families.
Yeah, the problem with Dalton McGuinty's HST tax grab is that it was a hard hit on the average family's budget. They're paying 8% more now for gas for their cars, heat for their homes, hydro bills, and the kids in sports are getting hit as well. It's simply an unaffordable tax grab by Dalton McGuinty. But here in Ontario, we'll have a chance in the next election of October 2011 to have a referendum on Dalton McGuinty's tax hikes like the HST. You'll see a PC party standing for lowering the tax and cost of living for families, or Dalton McGuinty, who you know will try to increase taxes once again.
It was said that some of the PC and provincial MPPs support George Smitherman's running for the mayor. How do you think so? Is that true?
No, none of our sitting MPPs have endorsed the Smitherman campaign. And I should be very clear, as leader of the PC party, that I, as leader, and the PC party of Ontario are not endorsing the George Smitherman campaign.
Are you promoting any referendum for HST university?
I want to give families the opportunity to hold governments to account between elections. I don't think it should be every 4 years. That we should give tools to families like referenda or recall to keep their politicians honest in between elections. And I've asked one of my MPPs, Steve Clark, to look at the best practices in BC, other provinces and states on how we can do that. But let's not forget something very important. We did have referendum legislation in the province. Under the previous PC government, if you brought in a tax increase and you didn't campaign on it, it had to go to a referendum. The HST should have gone to a referendum But Dalton McGuinty ripped up that law and rammed it through on families.
So what made you hesitate in doing so? Promote the referendum?
Oh, we're actually pursuing this as the opposition party. One of my MPPs, Steve Clark, is looking at the practices that they have in BC, other provinces, or the states to give the best tools to families to hold the government to account. We have elections every 4 years, but I think the families should have a tool to keep their politicians honest in between elections as well.
Do you agree that going to be called proposed by Rob Struggle?
Listen, we're looking at all of the options. My colleague Steve Clark, an MPP, has been assigned the portfolio of democratic reform. And he'll look at what BC has in referenda and recall, what other states and provinces do, and bring forward the best ideas. The bottom line for me, you know, we've seen a premier in Dalton McGuinty who promised everything under the sun to get elected. And then once he was elected, he broke those promises one after another. We need to give people the tools to hold their politicians to account between elections, and a PC party will do that.
So, the elections coming, how you get the Chinese voters vote to the PC party?
Yeah, you know, I sense today in my discussions with leaders in the Chinese Canadian community, other discussions I've had, very concerned about making sure that Ontario is a strong place to open a small business and hire more people, and to defend the budget of families that has been under attack by Dalton McGuinty. Families in the Chinese Canadian community, right throughout Ontario, whatever our backgrounds. We're paying higher hydro bills, we're paying the HST now on essentials, auto insurance has gone up and we're getting less in return, tuition, the list goes on and on. I heard very strongly today that we need to protect the family budget. A PC party would do it. The Liberals, it's obvious what they'll do. They'll increase taxes and the cost of living for families.
Last question.
Are you saying that if you guys run the show, everything will be reversed? Like, what are you prepared to offer solidly in terms of what McGuinty is doing? What are you prepared to do that's differently from him?
Oh, well, we put a number of ideas on the table today that I hope that the Premier will take up to help create jobs. We've talked about a payroll tax holiday to help small businesses hire again. We've talked about these regional health bureaucracies, they call them the LHINs. They're $250 million that could have gone into frontline health care, that it goes into bureaucracies that don't do a single surgery, they don't spend a minute with patients or do a single MRI. I'd close the doors on those bureaucracies and put the money into frontline health care. And across our province, families are now being forced to pay more and more in hydro through Dalton McGuinty's so-called smart meters. These are nothing but tax collection machines under this Premier. The way he set it up, it does nothing for conservation, but it means higher bills. I think we should give families a choice whether they want to have that kind of time of use smart meter pricing or whether a different rate works for them, because not every family is the same. I think people are tired of Dalton McGuinty lecturing them that they need to do their wash at 2 in the morning to get all the kids showered and ready for school before 6. That's not the way a lot of families operate in our province.
What about HST? Are you going to reverse that?
Listen, when it comes to Dalton McGuinty's tax increases, all options are on the table. We're looking at a number of those options today with the bottom line, we're going to give a tax break to families who need it. They'll put the money in the economy and help us create jobs again.
So will there be HST?
Oh, certainly the HST is one of the options we're looking at. When it was brought in other provinces, they lowered the rate of tax or their exemptions. I heard today suggestions on lowering the rate or exemptions on energy or on the basics or gasoline. The bottom line, all options are on the table, and we bring our platform forward for the next election in 2011. You'll see a tax cut for families that's going to help them out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For this order development, do you have any specific things to try to change to lower the
You guys have to get in the. How is the shot?
Are we close enough?
Are they close enough?